This is week 8 of the quarter 3 research project, and things are coming together really nicely for most of the students. This Friday, even though we don't have school because we have a 4-day weekend, thank goodness, is when their book reviews are due. What I had done is I decided to push back the due dates for the interview because it took kids a little bit longer than they had expected to find people to interview and to complete the interview project. So I pushed the due date for that back a week, and then I also pushed the due date for the book review back a week. I figured that we had an extra week this quarter. We have 10 weeks in this quarter. The syllabus is planned for 9, but I knew I had that cushion week in there as well. And we're going to utilize that. So what's going to happen is kids' book reviews are due by the end of this week. Next week is complete work time for their final project. Their final project is graded on the actual project itself, and that is going to vary among students. For some people, that will be a research paper. For some people, it is building something physical. One girl plans to build a model of an undersea or deep sea creature, and she wants to talk about some of the different interesting, unique things about that animal because it's a deep sea creature. There will be a couple different groups who are doing some sort of baking. So their project will be, one girl's baking macaroons, so that'll be her project. So a quarter of the final grade of the 200 points is the actual project itself. Another 50 points, another quarter of the grade for that project is the presentation aspect of it. Again, this is going to look different for everybody. For some students, it might be a PowerPoint. For the research paper group, what I intend to do is to split everybody in the class up into groups of about 5 or 6 students, and then designate 2 or 3 people who have research papers in each of those small groups. I'll print the research papers so that everybody in the group has a copy, and then I'll give them questions for discussion. So their presentation will be sharing with a small group. Otherwise, most people will have a pretty traditional sort of presentation where they'll stand up in front of the class, or they'll present a podcast, or they'll whatever they have. So kids are now starting to focus on that. They've got most of their information gathered, and they're starting to put together papers, or they're starting to put together their presentation and decide how they want to do those sorts of things. Another quarter of the final project is the works cited page. That seems like I'm giving it a lot of value, and I am, because one of the things that I wanted students to come out of this experience with is a really solid knowledge of MLA formatting. So that's also worth a quarter of the points. And the remainder, the last quarter, is a final reflection paper. I've not presented students with the requirements for that yet because most of them are not done. And part of me wants to wait until everyone has presented so that they can have an overall picture of how the quarter went. So we'll see how that goes. Right now, we've had a lot of work time. I, this week, reminded students about how to put together their works cited page. I showed them how to cite an interview, which is actually super easy, and how to incorporate their works cited into their project. If they're doing a visual presentation, they put it at the end. If they're doing a paper, it'll come at the end of the paper. If they have something that they're not physically turning in, then they will turn in an electronic version of the works cited page to me. So everybody's got most of their information gathered and most of their assessments leading up to the final project pretty much done. Like I said, the book review is due at the end of the week. A lot of students already have that done. I'm getting excited. I am getting questions from students now that demonstrate that they are thinking really hard about their presentations and about what that's going to look like, etc. So tomorrow, the goal is to take volunteers for that week of presentation who want to go first. So we're going to present, March 20th through the 24th is what I have scheduled. All of the research paper people will go on the same day. I think I'm going to have them go on that Wednesday of that week. I'm going to take volunteers, and I'm going to give basically 15-minute time slots to students, and we will go until students are finished presenting. So it'll be interesting to see tomorrow if there's anybody who would like to volunteer to go first. I'm always one of those people because I don't like to have to be anxious and sit around and wait for my turn. So yeah, that's where we're at. We're getting down to the wire and things are looking good.